Wednesday. D'Amico Ryans. We're starting the first topic with the head coach of the Houston Texans.
All right.
Reporters, we are a completely different team. They, being the Colts, are a completely different team. When asked whether or not the Texans' Week 2 matchup against the Colts was a reliable way to predict the outcome for this weekend. Week 2 feels like 5 years ago. The team, you think, is also completely different heading into Week 18. When you compare it to the way the season started, Peter, is...
My team won Week 1. I think they took care of business. It wasn't about Week 1. It was about the first 2 months of the season. The Packers are like this well-oiled machine the past 2 weeks.
That's a good one.
And watching Jordan Love, it's like there's no doubt. Remember, even as recent as a month ago, it's like, is he really the future of the franchise? Are they going to have to draft another quarterback? Are they going to have to make a move to the extent? Love looks as good as Rodgers these days. Like, he was awesome on Sunday night. And I know it was a game that a lot of people had already just been footballed out. There had been so much Saturday, so much Sunday. It was New Year's Eve. You had two teams probably not going to make the Super Bowl, either one of these squads. And you got Tirico and Collinsworth wearing tuxedos. It was great. Jordan Love was the star of the day, and he was so good. And if there's anything I regret from our New Year's Day show, we didn't give enough love to what Jordan Love did because he was so wonderful.
How about Love versus Fields this weekend?
I'm awesome.
Way into it.
It's a great game.
Great game.
With so much at stake for both teams and for both quarterbacks. I'm going to say the Packers, totally different feel towards them. It looks like they're an established offensive unit, whereas going into the season, I don't know if we knew any of the wide receivers' names, and I certainly don't know if we had an answer on their quarterback.
We didn't know Bo Melton.
Since
they put Bo Melton in the lineup, Jordan Love's been balling. Just throw the ball to Bo. Bo knows I'm not going to do it. I'm rolling with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit on the opposite end of the spectrum that Shreg is talking about. I remember earlier in the season, the Jags go to London. They get 2 victories. They stay there. And we're talking about the Jags as one of the hottest and best teams in the AFC. Since then, they've struggled. They've lost 4 out of their last 5. Trevor Lawrence is going through an injury. They were able to beat the Carolina Panthers last week. They're going to finish up with the Tennessee Titans. I say it all the time. You can be struggling towards the end of the season. Doesn't matter who they play or who they finish their season with. They got the win last week. If they can beat the Tennessee Titans, get a better feel going, maybe they can make a run. But I just think about this Jacksonville team, and there was conversations of them making a run for the 1 seed. And since then, it seems like it's gone the exact opposite way for this team.
I gotta say, these guys, it's the Browns. Browns played the Bengals Week 1, destroyed them. Joe Burrow threw for less than 100 yards. There's all kinds of things I had forgotten about this game. The whole lead in the AP report was that how Jamar Chase had called the Browns elves, and he said, "You're a bunch of elves."
Logo.
And then afterwards they came to him and said, "What do you think?" He's like, "Look, man, we got beat by a bunch of elves. I regret nothing." And then you read it, and it's just like, Deshaun Watson hyping Nick Chubb as the best in the world, and they're running here and running like there's nothing like that going on. I don't even know what Joe Flacco was doing that game. He was at a kids lacrosse practice or something, and now he's surging towards the playoffs as a terrifying team and playing the best football of his life, throwing to Amari Cooper, and Chubb is gone and Watson's gone. It's just a bygone. That feels like I'm reading a report from 1991. No, it was like 4 months ago. They've changed a lot.
Michael Moore was George Foreman.
And he was knocked out by a right cross by the champ, and he becomes the oldest heavyweight champ ever. Out of the Browns, like the world has changed since this thing was the way it was at the beginning of the season. It's Cleveland for me.